bare lurt på om du kunne hjulpe oss med noe. Jeg kaller han for megatroll.
Kaptein Chris.
Jeg har faktisk spydd majorene.
Major, samme det vel. Vi har et troll på rømmen. Han vil ha hevn.
In the shadow of Norway's ancient mountains and deep forests, the story of Troll 2 expands the mythos established in the first film, taking a broader and more ambitious approach to folklore, modern society, and the fragile balance between humanity and nature. This continuation leans into the idea that trolls are not isolated legends, but part of a much older and more complex system that has survived for centuries beneath the surface of modern civilization. The tone remains serious and grounded, treating mythology with respect while blending it seamlessly into a contemporary disaster thriller framework. Rather than repeating the same beats, the narrative builds on prior consequences, suggesting that awakening one troll was never an isolated incident, but a warning of what lies dormant across the land. The world of Troll 2 acknowledges the aftermath of the previous destruction and the psychological impact it left on both the government and the people. Norway is portrayed as a nation quietly living with the knowledge that myths are real, even if the truth is not fully public. This creates a constant tension beneath everyday life, where science, politics, and folklore intersect. The story frames trolls not as simple monsters, but as ancient beings tied to the land itself, reacting violently when human expansion disturbs what has been untouched for generations. This thematic foundation allows the sequel to feel larger in scope, moving from a single threat to the possibility of many. Returning characters bring emotional continuity and credibility to the narrative. Nora Tidemann remains central to the story, shaped by her previous experiences and carrying the weight of knowing how dangerous ignorance can be. Her role evolves from reluctant participant to someone more actively involved in understanding and preventing future catastrophes. Andreas Isaksen continues to serve as a bridge between government authority and on-the-ground reality, representing how institutions struggle to adapt when faced with truths that challenge logic and control. Their dynamic reflects the film's core conflict, whether knowledge should be hidden for stability or revealed to prevent greater destruction. The cast also introduces new characters who expand the scope of the story. Scientists, military figures, and political decision-makers are given more prominence, emphasizing that the threat posed by trolls is no longer a localized issue. Each new character brings a different perspective, from those who see trolls as weapons to those who view them as endangered beings reacting to human aggression. This clash of ideologies adds depth to the narrative and prevents the film from becoming a straightforward monster spectacle. Instead, it positions the conflict as a moral and ethical dilemma. The plot of Troll 2 unfolds with a sense of inevitability. Strange, seismic activity, unexplained disappearances, and environmental disturbances signal that something far greater than before is awakening. Unlike the first encounter, these signs appear in multiple regions, suggesting that the natural balance has been disrupted on a national scale. As investigations begin, it becomes clear that ancient troll territories overlap with modern infrastructure, including tunnels, power plants, and mining operations. The implication is clear: progress has come at a cost, and that debt is about to be collected. As the story progresses, the trolls themselves are portrayed with more variety and complexity. No longer limited to a single creature, the film introduces different types of trolls, each shaped by their environment and history. Some are colossal and slow-moving, embodying raw, unstoppable force, while others are more agile and cunning, capable of navigating terrain with terrifying efficiency. This diversity keeps the tension high and reinforces the idea that humanity is facing an entire species, not a singular anomaly. The emotional core of the film lies in its exploration of responsibility. characters are forced to confront whether the trolls are truly villains or victims of human intrusion. This question becomes increasingly urgent as military responses escalate, threatening widespread devastation. The film does not shy away from depicting the consequences of heavy-handed solutions, showing how attempts to dominate nature often lead to greater chaos. Through these conflicts, Troll 2 positions itself as more than a monster movie, offering commentary on environmental exploitation and the arrogance of assuming control over forces that predate humanity. Visually, Troll 2 raises the bar with larger set pieces and a heightened sense of scale. The landscapes play a crucial role, with sweeping shots of mountains, fjords, and forests contrasting sharply with scenes of destruction. The trolls are integrated into these environments in a way that makes them feel like natural extensions of the land rather than artificial creations. This visual approach reinforces the film's central theme. These beings belong to the earth, and their rage is a response to being displaced. The pacing of the film balances moments of quiet dread with intense action. There are stretches where the focus is on investigation, research, and debate, allowing tension to build gradually. These are followed by explosive confrontations that remind the audience of the sheer power of the trolls. Rather than relying solely on spectacle, the film uses restraint to make each major encounter feel significant. When destruction occurs, it carries emotional and narrative weight. In terms of factual elements within the story, Troll 2 deepens the lore surrounding these creatures. Ancient texts, folklore references, and scientific theories are woven together to create a believable framework. The film suggests that trolls have existed alongside humans for centuries, avoiding detection by retreating into remote areas and underground spaces. Their vulnerability to certain natural elements is explored further, adding layers to the mythology without over-explaining or demystifying them completely. The release timing of Troll 2 positions it as a major event for fans of the first film, capitalizing on the interest generated by its predecessor. The anticipation is driven not just by the promise of bigger action, but by the unanswered questions left behind. Viewers are drawn back into this world to see how the characters and the nation as a whole respond to the knowledge that myths are real and dangerous. The sequel is framed as a continuation rather than a reset, respecting the intelligence and investment of the audience. Trailer material for Troll 2 emphasizes scale, tension, and atmosphere. Rather than revealing too much of the plot, it focuses on ominous imagery, rumbling landscapes, and brief glimpses of massive shapes moving beneath the earth. Dialogue snippets hint at escalating stakes and moral conflict, while the visuals suggest that the threat is more widespread than before. The trailer's approach reinforces the idea that this is not just another encounter, but a turning point in the relationship between humans and trolls. The film's narrative structure allows room for both spectacle and reflection. While action sequences deliver the expected thrills, quieter moments focus on character reactions and ethical debates. This balance ensures that the story remains engaging on multiple levels. Viewers are not only watching buildings fall or creatures clash, but also witnessing how individuals and institutions respond when faced with forces beyond their control. One of the most compelling aspects of Troll 2 is its refusal to provide easy answers. The film does not clearly define a right or wrong side, instead presenting a situation where every choice carries consequences. Protecting human lives may mean destroying ancient beings, while preserving those beings could put entire cities at risk. This tension drives the story forward and gives weight to every decision made by the characters. As the plot approaches its climax, the sense of urgency intensifies. multiple storylines converge as trolls move closer to populated areas, forcing characters to act with limited information and time. The culmination of these arcs results in a finale that is both destructive and emotionally charged. Rather than simply ending the threat, the conclusion leaves room for reflection and future possibilities, suggesting that coexistence, conflict, or further catastrophe are all still on the table. From a cast perspective, performances are grounded and restrained, avoiding exaggerated reactions despite the fantastical elements. This realism helps sell the premise and keeps the audience emotionally invested. The returning actors bring continuity and familiarity, while new additions inject fresh energy and differing viewpoints. Together, they create a believable ensemble navigating an extraordinary situation. Troll 2 ultimately stands as a sequel that aims to expand rather than replicate. It takes the foundation of the first film and builds a broader narrative about humanity's relationship with nature, history, and myth. By blending folklore with modern concerns, it creates a story that feels both timeless and relevant. The film invites viewers to question not only how such threats should be handled, but whether humanity is willing to acknowledge the consequences of its own actions. In the end, Troll 2 is positioned as a significant chapter in an ongoing story rather than a self-contained spectacle. Its focus on escalation, responsibility, and unresolved tension suggests that the world it portrays is still evolving. The trolls are no longer just legends awakened by accident. They are symbols of a deeper imbalance that cannot be easily fixed. This lingering uncertainty gives the film lasting impact, leaving audiences with the sense that the true conflict is not between humans and trolls, but between progress and respect for the ancient forces that shape the world.